All right, I've got the boards cut to length for the combo cabinet. I'm gonna put this Princeton amp in. I'm gonna finger joint it in the same style as this amp head I've got right here. I've got my Mojotone 12-inch speaker I'm gonna put in there. I'm gonna try to get those finger joints cut today and start putting it together. Got these ripped to the right width. Got my jig out to cut the joints. Now I've got to remember how to use it. All right, got these pieces cut. I realized I've only got one clamp long enough. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna glue it together part at a time. I'll glue the tampon first. I'll use the bottom for kind of positioning and support. It's like putting a puzzle together. And then I'll use my clamp to go across here. I'm going to use this square to try to make sure I've got things leveled up correctly. I'm really not happy with the way the grill cloth looks. I'm wondering if maybe I need to paint that baffle black. I think that might be a solution, because that grill cloth is just so transparent that it looks funny. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the way the cabinet turned out. I did forget to record a lot of the assembly, and it's just as well. I didn't know what I was doing, screwed up a couple of times. I got the chassis installed too far back in the cabinet, ended up having to fill some holes and reposition it. I haven't stained anything yet, obviously. I probably still need to sand it a little bit. Then I'll put a light coat of stain on it and some polyurethane, probably something like that one right there, kind of a similar color. We got the back panel here, the reverb tank down there in the little bag, the Mojotone Anthem speaker in there. I kind of like, has a little foot switch that turns on and off the reverb and the trim. It's kind of cool. Got a little Behringer tube screamer copy. That works pretty well just to drive and get a little bit of distortion out of here. Let's get it turned on and say hi. Let's get it turned on and see what it sounds like. If you like my outfit, I'm on my way to a Christmas, kind of a Christmas get together with some friends. So this is my one opportunity to wear my Christmas suit. So I actually shot this video. I got a confession to make. I shot this video last night, and and I could not figure out why my reverb wasn't working right. It had worked okay when I first hooked it up and tested it, but I could not get what I thought was a decent reverb tone out of it. And so here's the issue. I'm kind of an idiot. They ship those reverb tanks with these little pieces of foam to hold the springs. And I don't know how I ever got any reverb out of it with those pieces of foam in there. Apparently they had gotten shifted enough while I was installing it that they were just completely dampening the springs, keeping them from doing much of anything. So once I figured that out, pulled them out, I've got a decent amount of reverb now. I've got them turned. I've got the reverb and the tremolo turned off completely with the foot switch right now. So the first thing we'll hear is just a bone stock clean. I'm on input 1, which is kind of the higher gain input. Got the bass on about 4 and the treble on about 6. And it's a nice, full, clean tone. This volume pot on this amp, and I saw this on another video, Mojotone apparently uses, I guess, an audio taper volume pot on these kits. And so on a traditional Princeton, they start to get really loud around 3. This one, on 1, there's 1 is actually 0. I don't have any volume at 2. I just start to get a little volume at 3. 4, 5. It doesn't really start to get loud until around 7. And then there's a lot of volume between 7 and 10. So there's 7, 8. It gets really loud, but it's all in that last third of the pot. So not a huge fan of that. I can live with it. I can adapt to it, but that might be a change I'd want to make at some point in the future, and it might be a change you'd want to make if you were doing one of these. With the guitar volume down, this amp's real quiet. There's no hum whatsoever. The only way you get any hum is if you turn the reverb on. You get a little bit of hum on the reverb, and the louder you turn up the reverb, the more hum you get. It's not awful. It's not going to interfere with playing, but it's definitely there. I saw another video that showed that the way Fender provides power to the reverb circuit creates that noise, and that there's a way to reroute the power from a different point in the amp circuit that eliminates that. So maybe something I look at doing in the future. Also, the more I look, the more I realize I need to paint this baffle black. I'm not a huge fan of that contrast between the baffle and the speaker, and I think if that baffle was black, it would look a lot better. So that's probably what I'll do when I pull it apart to stain it and put some finish on it. I wish I had recorded more of the assembly process, but it was kind of ugly because I didn't know what I was doing. I got the baffle out too far to begin with. I wanted a little bit more of an offset. I had the chassis mounted too far back. Had to bring it forward some. Getting this angle cut on the front was kind of tricky. I finally used my skill saw, set it at a 25-degree angle, and ripped it across. But of course the blade wasn't long enough to come all the way down to here, so I ended up having to go back with the jigsaw to get the last little bit and then sand everything smooth. It worked. It probably wasn't the way
Somebody else would have done it, but I got it. It worked. So let's turn got the reverb back on. I'll turn that off. Let's demonstrate the trim. So we go from, that's an intensity at 1, which is, it's basically off. Turn it up to 10, it's very audible. It's even audible in the hum. Turn the speed down to 1. And turn the speed all the way up to 10. You can I'm kind of a Goldilocks kind of person. I like the intensity around 4 or 5, and I like the speed around 5. I think that works out pretty well. Turn the reverb on. There, I had the reverb on. There's the reverb. Down to 0. Here we go up to 10. Pretty decent. Pretty good full sounding reverb. I like it. Again, about 3, 4 is probably where I'll want it just for playing around. Switch to this neck pickup. So I can turn the volume up. My hands aren't very stretched out this morning. I'm still dealing with that trigger finger. Don't have a full bend right there without it locking up. It's really frustrating. Maybe one of these days I'll do the surgery. This Anthem speaker sounds pretty good in this open back cabinet. Decent response with highs and the lows. I had it on that, hooked up to that Fender 1x12 closed back cabinet. That was a little too bassy. I've got a 1x12 open back cabinet that I built that has a Celestion greenback in it, and it sounds pretty similar to this Anthem. Celestions kind of have their own tone, but this is a good speaker for this amp and this cabinet. I think it's about $85 on Mojotone for the 12-inch 8-ohm. It handles a pedal pretty well. All I've got is this Behringer vintage tube overdrive, which is essentially their copy of a tube screamer. Got the gain up fairly high, but the level down pretty low. Volume still on 5 on the amp. Probably a little too much reverb on there right now, honestly. Got the pedal off now. You can get some decent drive just out of the amp, up around 8. It starts to break up a little bit. to that bridge. And you crank it on up, you get a lot more. Still a lot of reverb going on there. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. It's not cheap. The amp kit from Mojotone is $720, which is certainly not pocket change. I will say the cool thing is that it's a complete kit as far as everything you need except the cabinet and speaker. You can get the cabinet and speaker from them, but then your price starts to go up quite a bit. The tubes, the output drivers, all the circuitry, the reverb tank, the foot switch. I mean, all that adds to the cost, and it's really a complete kit. When I first got it built and was having trouble with it, I was regretting my decision to do this. Now that I've got it together, the regrets kind of faded away. Still, I've got to get that grill cloth on better. It's got creases in it. I don't have it pulled tight enough. I'll watch some more YouTube videos on the best way to get that on there correctly. Painting that baffle, I think, will help me aesthetically. Getting some finish on that cabinet, I'll like that quite a bit better. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I've got it sitting on my little wooden crate right now. I like having these amps up off the floor, especially I'm in a second floor apartment right now. My office is underneath me, so there's nobody down there having to deal with my noise. But it gets it up off the floor and eliminates some of that floor bounciness from the low frequencies. Let me know if you've built one of these or if you've thought about building one. I'm still, speaker, cabinet, grill cloth, everything. I'm still well under $1,000. The plywood, I used 1/2-inch plywood. I think I paid $23 for that 2x4 sheet of plywood that I used for the baffle and the back plates. A 1x10, 8-foot 1x10 board is all you needed for the cabinet. I don't remember. I've had that for a year. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't terribly expensive. The little finger joint jig, I bought that back when I built another amp cabinet. That's a nice little tool. If you're going to do stuff like this, that's definitely something worth having. And when you look at how much a hand-wired Princeton Reverb amp is, around $3,000 new. Good luck even finding a vintage version. And if you did, I'm sure the price would be ridiculous. So if you want a hand-wired Princeton Reverb, this is probably the cheapest way to go. And it was honestly kind of fun. I learned something about amp functionality. I might have a little better luck if something goes wrong with one in the future, trying to figure out how to fix it, how to repair it. I definitely learned something about foam being shipped in a reverb tank. Still kind of embarrassed by that one. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good month, getting ready for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, or nothing at all. But it's a close of another year, and it's just, everybody says this, but I swear the older I get, the faster time goes by. I am creeping up on 58 years old, starting to think more intently about retirement and what that's going to look like. Trying to prepare the best I can. Of course, the best time to prepare was 30 years ago, but the second best time is right now. So I'm going to do what I can to prepare for it. Hope everybody's doing well. Love to hear your feedback on this. Hope you have a good day.